Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. We're live and I'm joined by Fabrizio Romano. How are you doing, Fabrizio?
Hello, my friend. I'm good. Happy New Year to you and to all Manchester United fans. Always a pleasure to be together.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. We'll fly straight into it because there has been some... there's a few things I want to talk to you about, but I've just been checking online. There's a couple of updates coming from the UK that I'd like to just put to you straight away. The first one is going to be about Donny van de Beek. ESPN, Rob Dawson, saying that there is still a possibility that Donny can go in January, but if he was going to go on loan, a team would have to pay all his wages, which to me, that just... wouldn't make sense. We're already doing this with Anthony Martial. What's your understanding of the situation with Donny? He's only played 6 minutes in 5 games in the Premier League under Rangnick, which is surprising.
Yes, it's surprising, and I'm told that this information is true, but for all players that Man United want to give on loan, they have to pay the full salary. This is Manchester United idea. Then this is how you start in the market. It's normal because at the beginning of January you say I want the full salary, and maybe in the final week you can change your mind or you can participate. You can be part of the payment of the salary. So let's see how it will end up. But in general, for Man United, they want the full payment of the salaries of the players that are going out on loan. So let's see what happens with Donny. Talking about Donny in particular, from what I'm told, there is a lot of interest, and it's normal for this kind of player available potentially in the market in January. But at the same point, you said he only played 6 minutes, and it's true. But at the same point, I'm told that Ralf Rangnick is not super happy with Donny van de Beek to leave the club on loan in January. And it's not just what he said in press conference. I'm told that also during the meetings with the board, he's still saying that he wants to keep Donny. He wants to have Donny in the club, to have 6 months with Donny, to push him to have the best of Donny van de Beek in the coming months, also when with the Champions League and the other competitions for Man United will be so important to be ready. And so he's not super happy with the opportunity to make Donny leave on loan. So keep an eye on the situation, because I'm not 100% sure that Donny will leave in January. Let's see what happens, as I said, because January window, what do you feel now with many games maybe could change in the final week, in the final days. But as of now, from what I'm told, Rangnick is absolutely not convinced of letting Donny go in January.
And what do you think the situation might be with Donny? Because it's like, it's a bit like, well, I want to keep him because he's, I'd like to keep Donny van de Beek as a backup. But obviously, even Rangnick said himself last week that Donny wants to play in the World Cup. If he waits to move till the summer, it's not very much time to get in a World Cup that's going to happen in December. Do you think Donny would force that move, having had a month under Rangnick and not starting games now? Or do you think he still is clinging to a hope that he can get into that team?
I think it also depends on where's the club for him to go, because it depends what is the opportunity. We have a lot of rumors always around Donny, but then at the end, he had a big opportunity with Everton, some club asking about him. You remember we had fake rumors about Juventus in November, fake rumors about other Italian clubs. So let's see what happens, because maybe at the end of the window, something big will happen and the player will maybe force his move. But as of now, I'm told that the situation is still quiet, because also the new agent of Donny van de Beek is respecting what Ralf Rangnick wants to do. So I'm sure that it's not going to be decided in a few days. It's going to be something for the end of the window. But at the same point, I won't be surprised if Donny will end up staying at Man United.
I want to talk to you about midfielders and signings, because there's something coming out from Andy Mitten this afternoon about United making signings. But one I want to ask you about was Junior Alvarez, because I nowhere near have the sources or any information that you have, but I did get a message yesterday from somebody pretty close to the club saying that this Alvarez story is all coming from his agent. Manchester United's interest is may not even be there at all. It's just all agent talk. We've not had, I don't think you've spoke about it much, not much in the UK. What's your understanding of Alvarez and Manchester United?
No, I never spoke about this deal and this transfer, because from what I'm told, it's exactly the same you said. So let me say, the only point I said is Man United sent a scout to watch this boy, but let me say that it's absolutely normal. We're speaking about the best striker in South America, the best talent maybe in South America in this moment, and so it's normal for top clubs and for Man United to scout, to watch this boy, to see what is the potential. But at the same point, I'm told that at the moment there is nothing like paying the close or complete the signing. Then never say never in transfer market. So let's see if they will change their mind. They will jump into it. I'm told that these rumors are coming because of Ralf Rangnick appreciating this boy since he was the manager of Lokomotiv Moscow. So it was a possibility when he was the manager of Lokomotiv, and so to scout this boy and a real possibility for Lokomotiv. But here we're talking about Man United. Moving from South America to Man United in January window is something that is not in Man United style, also with this kind of talents. If you do something like this in summer, maybe it's different, but in January it's completely, it's really complicated and it's completely different. So from what I'm told, of course, his agent is in Europe. He's going to meet with many clubs, but at the same point, for Man United, there is nothing advanced or nothing going on right now.
No. So I'll go back to what I was going to ask you. I think it's a podcast that The Athletic do. Andy Mitten has said that Manchester United very unlikely to sign anybody in January unless there was a big issue with an injury. I don't know whether you had the misfortune of watching Manchester United last night, but the midfield was awful. Most people watching this and most Manchester United fans cannot understand why we didn't get a midfielder last summer. And I've even said, I think if we don't buy a midfielder in the summer, we won't get in January. We won't get top four because Arsenal and Spurs are better than us. Do you think United will be buying anybody? Have you heard anything about January?
I'm told that the focus of Manchester United, as we also always say here also, is for summer and not for January. So at the moment, there is no priority target for January. But if they will do something, will be a midfielder. So the defensive midfielder is something that they are considering, but it's absolutely not sure. So let me say the focus of Man United is on summer, not on January. So this is the idea. This is what Man United are planning to do. If they will have a big opportunity, they will jump into it, maybe at the end of the window. But as of now, there is still nothing advanced. This is the answer that they are giving also to agents proposing players, because many agents are offering to Man United the opportunity to sign maybe midfielders to have chances in the midfield. But as of now, the answer is always the same from Man United. We are focusing on summer and not on January window. So at the moment, I still see the situation as Andy Mitten reported, very unlikely. But at the same point, let me say, if they will jump in an opportunity, will be a midfielder. And I will keep an eye on the name of ZAKARIA more than Kamara, because ZAKARIA is a big chance. He already decided not to extend the contract with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Many clubs are in the race for ZAKARIA. So also Liverpool for next summer asking information. Borussia Dortmund too. Let's see what happens with Bayern. Many clubs are jumping into it. But for January, paying a small fee, around 6-7 million, could be an opportunity. Let's see if Man United will decide to jump into it. As of now, it's not advanced, and it's not even a negotiation. It's an opportunity. If they will do something, we'll be in that position.
Interesting, Fabrizio, that you said that. I was literally going to ask you about ZAKARIA. So I'll rephrase the question a little bit. There are 3 players on the top of my head, all of which are good midfielders, I believe. ZAKARIA, Kamara, and Kessie, all out of contract this massive summer that you've spoken before about all these players, loads of players available for free in the summer. Do you think Kessie or a Kamara or a ZAKARIA, do you see them all moving in January, or do you think we will see maybe a Pogba situation where they will wait till the summer?
I can say that for Kessie, it's like a 90% for him to stay at AC Milan, because they want to continue with him and then to see in the summer what happens, because they are still hoping to extend his contract. For ZAKARIA and Kamara is different, because both players don't want to extend their contract, and so in ZAKARIA case it's already official, and with Kamara this is the plan, and so it's completely different because they're looking for opportunities in January. But let me say that Kessie for Manchester United in January is something that I see that's really, really complicated, if not impossible. ZAKARIA more than Kamara, because it's easier also with the fee, because Ralf Rangnick is following this boy since a long time, so also kind of skills of ZAKARIA are really appreciated by Ralf Rangnick and his people around the club, but at the same time it's something that is not advanced. So let me clarify, very unlikely for Man United to sign players in January, but if it will be an opportunity, I still see midfielder, and I will keep an eye on ZAKARIA.
Thank you very much for that remark, Fabrizio. But I do want to talk about players going out of the door, because there's quite a few. It would be nice to get an update on Jesse and Dean Henderson and Juan Mata, but just picking up on yesterday, Luke Shaw was talking about players maybe not even trying or not being focused, and Ralf Rangnick's been here a month now. What's the noise around Manchester United in relation to why do you think the players are? What do you think the problem is with Manchester United and Ralf Rangnick with these players that they're putting in performances like that? And have you heard anything about a manager in the summer?
At the moment, on the manager situation, talking about the summer, the situation is still quiet. They're going to decide in March and April, not now. So it's going to take time. And I think this is not the focus also in the dressing room and also in the training ground right now. I think the real point is, and we discussed about it when they decided to go for Ralf Rangnick. The real point is when they had the chance to appoint Antonio Conte as new manager, because it was a real chance and because Antonio Conte was absolutely open to join Man United, was really tempted to join Man United. And from what I'm told, he was really convinced that Man United team were ready to win immediately this season. I don't know if the Premier League or different competition, but Antonio was having a very good opinion of the squad. And they decided to do a different choice, and we have to respect what they said and what they decided to do. So to go for a manager that is an interim manager, but also with a vision for the future. So to build something for the future. So I think if you go for Rangnick, and remember, I always told you, if you go for Rangnick, you have to back him, you have to support him, you have to also experience something that is maybe not the best results, because it's going to take time. He's not a manager for the immediate results. It's going to take time to see what Ralf Rangnick is going to bring to the club. Time means maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. There's going to be something long for Man United, but it was very clear for Man United. They want to go this way because Antonio Conte was the perfect opportunity to change the situation immediately. And look at Tottenham. They look like a completely different team, a completely different club. The atmosphere around the top players, the atmosphere in the dressing room, he's changing everything. But maybe after 1 or 2 years, you're going to have a problem with Antonio because of the signings, because of the project. They decided to go for a different way. So the feeling is, from what I'm told, also around the dressing room, we need time. We really need time to do this kind of thing that Ralf wants, like pressing, to change the mentality. You can't change these kind of things in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, always playing football. And so it's not easy also to train with the manager, to take your time. So it's not easy to go into this process, but this is because you decided to go for Ralf Rangnick, for a manager, for a long-term project. So guys, with Rangnick, it's going to take time. I'm sure that it's very good, but it's going to take time.
And watching the game last night, are you surprised by some of his selections? I.e., Matic is probably going to go in the summer, Bruno on the bench, playing with only 2 midfielders and wide players, no energetic midfielder, which you'd think maybe Donny or Fred would be ideal for. Have you been surprised by some of his selections?
Yes, to be honest, yes. I was expecting Donny to play, to be honest, because a lot of rotation maybe was an opportunity also for him to have something fresh in the midfield, as you said. So maybe it was a good opportunity. I was also surprised with Diogo Dalot, let me say, because I still think I'm a big fan of him, as of Donny, as of other players. So it's just my opinion. But I think he was doing very good. Also with Newcastle, was not an easy game, not a good game for United. But then he did a good performance, he did a good cross for Cavani, and he scored. So I was a bit surprised, yes, to be honest. But at the same point, we have to remember that they need to rotate, they need to change. I think, again, with Ralf Rangnick, you have to support him. I know that it's not easy. I can understand the Manchester United fans' point of view is complicated. The season has been really exciting in the summer because you signed Cristiano, Sancho, Varane, so you're expecting something big. And then it's complicated with Ole, and then with Ralf Rangnick, it's going to take time. So I know it's not easy. I know you want something different for the process, but this is it with Ralf Rangnick. So give him some time. And it's important to back him. I'm told that also in the board, they knew about it. They're not worried. They know that this is part of the process when you go for Ralf Rangnick, and it's going to take time. So let's wait a bit. I think like in February, March, we'll have a clear idea of what's going on with Rangnick. But to see the real mindset with Manchester United and Ralf Rangnick is going to take long.
It is interesting that you say that about Dalot. There's a lot of people agreeing with you in the chat. Yeah, I think he should have played last night. I was surprised he went with Wan-Bissaka. And I think that's the thing that probably is making some United fans a bit concerned about Rangnick, is if we'd lost last night with Dalot in the team and Donny in the team, you'd go, well, it's going to take a bit of time. But it's the fact that he's picking the same players that the previous manager picked. So we'll see. I think you're right with patience. Let's just talk about some players that probably are causing a bit of upheaval in relation to the long-term plans, because they're very much coming towards the end of their contracts. We spoke about Donny. Anthony Martial, not been involved. Rangnick said he's not going to be involved while he's trying to get a move. He's on big wages. Where we expect Martial to go? Do you think it will be Sevilla?
I think that it's not going to be easy with Sevilla with the current conditions, from what I'm told, because as I told you before, they want the full payment of the salary, and they also want a loan fee for Anthony Martial, and for Sevilla it's impossible to pay the whole salary and a loan fee. So they need to change some condition from Man United. I think Ralf Rangnick has been very clear. When he says, okay, it has to be an opportunity for the player, but also for Man United, it means they have to pay what we want. And so I think it's not going to be a negotiation so easy with Sevilla. They need another club to jump into it, or maybe Sevilla to try in the coming weeks with maybe different conditions. Because as I told you, it's not just for Man United, for every club in the world. At the beginning of the market, you ask for a price, and then maybe at the end of the market, this is going to change because the player is forcing the move, and so it's absolutely normal. So Sevilla are interested. A lot of rumors about Juventus here in Italy, but from what I'm told, he's not the priority for Juventus. They are not negotiating for Martial. They want different kind of player, a real number 9, and so he's not the target. Let's see what happens, because I don't see many opportunities around Europe. We're talking about a very interesting player, but paying the full salary, and the loan fee is something that is making this deal very complicated.
Yeah, definitely, because from United's point of view, I think we'd be better off keeping him than letting him go and build a career elsewhere in his mid-20s. Jesse Lingard's a bit like Donny van der Beek. I was very surprised yesterday. Rashford's been poor recently. He gets his chance off the bench. I probably would have thrown Donny or Jesse on. Another player that we heard over Christmas is going to see his contract out, but he's not playing game time at all. Another player that would probably fancy himself as, being an England World Cup squad player. Anything with Jesse, or do you think he will just sit it out even if he doesn't play?
I'm told that Newcastle approached him in December. They were asking about him, trying to understand what's the situation, because they're looking for a creative player, and so Jesse was an opportunity. But at the same point, it was not advanced, neither with Man United or with the player, because at the moment, from what I'm told, he's not 100% convinced of leaving Man United in January, also if he's not playing, also because it's making sense for players. You know better than me how in the summer you are receiving different money when you're moving as free agent instead of moving in January. So you wait for 4 months, and then you can pick your club. You don't need to negotiate with the club. You can do whatever you want. Also on financial point of view, you can ask for the fee you want for the signing fee, for the contract. And so this is why at the moment with Lingard, the situation is still quiet. I would say keep an eye on these kind of players, because in the market at the beginning of January, you maybe see a quiet situation. And then if some club are needing this kind of player at the end of the market, could be an opportunity. So I will keep an eye on Jesse till the end. I'm not saying he's 100% staying in January, but this is the plan as of now. So it seems to be still quiet around him.
And I'm not going to ask about Paul Pogba, because I think we've spoken about him enough, and we know he's going to stay until the summer and then make a decision.
Yes.
Dean Henderson, I mean, he's a good goalkeeper. He's not getting any game time. David De Gea has been fantastic. But again, Manchester United probably reluctant to let him go on loan, but he's a player who needs to play football.
You know what is the problem? That I was asking about this one also this morning, and the answer was goalkeepers market in January is very complicated, because if you leave Man United with, as you mentioned, David De Gea was doing incredible, you want to play, you want to be a starter. But you can't join small clubs. You are leaving Man United and you're a fantastic goalkeeper, as Dean Henderson is. And so it's not easy to find a solution at his level in January with a market that is really blocked for goalkeepers, because where are you going? It's not easy to find a top club signing him in January. So he's going to push for the move because he wants to go. He wants to play. He needs to play. And Man United are open to do it. But it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, because for goalkeepers, everything is still quiet around Europe. So I won't be surprised if they need to wait till the summer. A lot of rumors about Ajax, but I'm told that Ajax are not planning to sign Dean Henderson in January. So let's see, because maybe waiting for the summer could be the best solution for all parties involved to pick another solution, because in the summer, of course, it's completely different market. In January, it's very complicated.
And the final question I'm going to ask you, it was somebody put it on the chat there. What's the future of Cristiano Ronaldo? All I would say is, I don't think we're going to get top 4. So this is a situation that if Manchester United are in the Europa League next year, I have got no information on this. I just don't understand how Ronaldo would stay at Manchester United in the Europa League when he's missed the Champions League. Do you think that could be a problem, or do you think Ronaldo would just stay?
You know, last time I sent a message was before Christmas about this story to ask about Cristiano. It was absolutely normal, not just for breaking news, but just to understand how was the situation around Cristiano. And the answer was Cristiano is not even contemplating for Man United to be out of Champions League. He's going to fight till last minute for Champions League, and he's convinced that they can do it. So I see Cristiano absolutely focused on Man United. I don't see Cristiano thinking about other clubs or other opportunities. Then let's see what happens, because as you mentioned, he's Champions League man, and maybe if you are not in Champions League next season, it could be a problem. But as of now, he's not even saying, okay, if I'm not in Champions League, let's plan for this solution. He's not in this process. He's not in Cristiano style. So let's wait and see, but let's be optimistic.
Well, it's exactly the same. I think we spoke a year ago at Juventus. Like he was the same.
Exactly.
You just focus till the summer. I focus until the summer.
Then they were in Champions League, and he decided to change also if they were in Champions League and with Allegri back. So it's not only about Champions League. It's also about maybe the project to see how is the situation, who will be the manager. I think the manager is something that will be key for Pogba, Cristiano, many other players to see who will be the face of the new project. If Rangnick will continue, of course, in the board, but if he will be the face also as a manager, or if they will go for another manager, who will be this manager? What is the project? So there are many things to clarify around Man United. It's not just about Champions League football.
Definitely. Fabrizio, it's been fantastic to have a chat with you. I know you've got to shoot off, and we will speak to you again next week. But thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, as always. Always super pleasure. Again, Happy New Year to all your followers and to all Man United fans. And see you soon.
Thank you, Fabrizio. We'll speak to you next week.
Bye.
So yeah, let's just summarize what he's been speaking about there. Nice to get Fabrizio on the show, and lots discussed. I mean, look, you might have noticed the wry smile on my face when we were talking about Ronaldo. We that question does get asked a lot, but this is a theory. It's only a theory. You know, we're not going to get anything different from Fabrizio. Cristiano, he will and is a very focused professional footballer. He won't be thinking about retiring from Portugal if they don't get through to the World Cup in that playoff that's probably going to be against Italy in March. And he's not going to be thinking about leaving Manchester United in January because we're probably not going to be in the Champions League next season. I just don't think Ronaldo will play in the Europa League next year. And I think we will lose Ronaldo in the summer, but no one's going to admit that. Ronaldo's not going to admit it. United aren't going to admit it. No journalist is going to admit it because he's not going to even think about it until the season's over. But, you know, you're not going to get a definitive on that. I'm just telling you, in my opinion, Ronaldo will not play in the Europa League next year. And there's a big chance United will. So 2 + 2 is 4, but we'll have to wait and see on that. If you've tuned in a little bit late, I'll just go through some of the headlines that we got from Fabrizio. Stephanie says we will get top 4. I like your positivity, Stephanie. Always nice to have positive people. Make sure you smash a like on the video. We have still got an 8 o'clock show as well. So let me just check what's going on in the world. But let me just tell you what Fabrizio told us. So the first question I asked him was about Donny van der Beek, because there was a story in the UK today about Donny van der Beek potentially being able to leave Manchester United, but only if a fee was met in relation to paying all of his wages. And this would be as a loan deal, not as a transfer. I also asked Fabrizio about this story coming out of The Athletic that Manchester United are unlikely to sign anybody, and he gave us a bit of hope. I think ZAKARIA is now going to become the new Alvarez because we killed the Alvarez story and we found somebody else to focus on. So well done, United Stan community, and thanks for Fabrizio coming on. All Christmas for the last 2 weeks, it's been Alvarez. Now I think it's going to be ZAKARIA based on what we were discussing there. But let's talk about Donny first, and then we'll talk about ZAKARIA and Alvarez. So in relation to Donny van der Beek, Fabrizio basically said, look, Manchester United, if they're going to loan any player this window, they want the full fee, the wages paid and a fee, which is why Martial's not at Sevilla yet, which we spoke about. Donny van der Beek is apparently still a player that Ralf Rangnick wants to keep at the club. But as I said to Fabrizio, the problem is Donny doesn't want... I mean, it feels to me like we've all had Christmas, right? And it could be a packet of crisps. It could be a bottle of wine. Let's use wine, right? So Donny van der Beek's a nice bottle of red wine in your cellar. And, you know, all through Christmas, you've got friends and family coming on, Christmas dinner, and the other half is saying, let's get that lovely bottle of red wine out for dinner. No, I love it, but I don't want to use it. Just get the cheap one out of the fridge. Get McTominay and Fred out. We'll use that. And poor old Donny, the nice bottle of wine, is just sat there in the cellar. Rangnick doesn't want to use it, but he doesn't want to lose it. And I think that doesn't help the bottle of wine, and it doesn't help Donny van der Beek. So I get that Rangnick probably wants to keep Donny, but he doesn't want to use him. And that's the problem, is it's just there, isn't it? Oh, I've got Donny van der Beek if I need to, but Donny van der Beek needs to play football. So I'd monitor this one over the next few weeks, because I think at some point, Donny van der Beek is such a professional. I think at some point he's really got to just say, I want to go. You're not picking me. I want to go. I actually respect Donny van der Beek a lot, because I think certain players would have more game. I think he'd have more game time if he'd kicked up a fuss, basically. I think if he'd said, I want to leave, like Martial has done, he'd probably get some game time. I think the fact that he just sits there waiting like a good boy probably doesn't do him any credit, because they just go, he ain't going to moan, don't pick him. So look, hopefully he'll play in the next 2 games. But I'd watch the Donny van de Beek situation, because I think at some point he's got to think about himself. And he's, 6 minutes under Rangnick in the Premier League in 5 games is a disgrace, isn't it? I asked about Alvarez. It's very interesting, actually, because a lot of people will say, when I tweeted yesterday that the Alvarez story was a load of crap, a lot of people assumed I'd got it from Fabrizio, which I didn't, which is why I put it to Fabrizio a few minutes ago. And I said to him, I got it from a very good source close to the club yesterday that Alvarez is all agent talk and Man United are not interested in him. To which Romano said, well, that's the story I've got, that this is just agent talk. Never say never, but it's all agent talk. Manchester United are not interested in him. And the only reason United have been linked to him is because Ralf Rangnick quite liked him when he was at Lokomotiv Moscow. So Alvarez, for me, needs to be filed under the Casido draw, where it's not going to happen. And we've just been completely, I wouldn't say we've been mugged off. It's been a nice story over the Christmas period, but actually there was never nothing in it. Trade Martial for Koundé, buy Neves and loan Van der Beek to Wolves to sweeten the deal. That solves the 3 big issues. Robin, hypothetically, you've done well. But it's not going to happen, unfortunately. So Alvarez, let's file it. It's a load of shite. Interestingly, though, it's not file it and end it. I did ask Fabrizio about this story this afternoon in The Athletic that we're not going to buy anybody in January. Now, this is coming from Andy Mitten. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the mitten. He's basically, obviously, feeding information out that he's got from the club, which he does get from the club. And he's saying that Manchester United will not be buying anybody in January unless they get a situation like Bruno Fernandes a couple of years ago, which came about because of injuries to Pogba and McTominay. I mean, it's terrifying to think that we weren't going to buy Bruno Fernandes in January if McTominay and Pogba hadn't got injured. When you think of the impact that Bruno Fernandes has had in the 2 years that he's been here and the impact he had from that January to the end of the season and made us get top 4, what a horrific situation we might have been if we hadn't done that deal. So effectively, it's coming from The Athletic that Manchester United will not be buying anybody in the January transfer window unless they get an injury crisis, which is terrifying in itself because we don't need an injury crisis. Our players are shit. So effectively, we're probably not going to buy anybody in the January transfer window. However, 2 bits of good news. One from Fabrizio, who said, look, probably not going to buy anybody, but I'd keep your eye on Zakaria because there's a deal to be done there. And Ralf Rangnick is a big admirer of his. So keep your eye on Zakaria. And also what I would say is that if you're looking to get a bargain in January, do you get your cash out and go, where can I buy somebody? You don't. You go, yeah, we're more about the summer. We're more about the summer because that way you can get a better deal. So maybe Manchester United are playing a clever game. What I find inexcusable, and Fabrizio did say this in his interview, he did say United are being approached by a lot of agents with midfielders saying they're available in January, but Man United are talking more about the end of the window. Just take that and keep it in your back pocket. There are, as I said 2 weeks ago, there are midfielders available in the January transfer market that are better than what we have. We will not get top 4 with the midfield that we've got at the moment. If United refuse to buy a midfielder this month and we're in the Europa League next year, it's on the board. Simple as that. There are midfielders available. We need a midfielder. And in the summer, we're going to need 2. So it's the most logical thing in the world that you buy 1 in January when there are people available, and then you buy another 1 in the summer. So then you haven't got to get 2 in the summer. Start doing the work now. The January transfer window is a weird transfer window, and it's a bad transfer window in many ways. But when you know you've got a lot of business to do in the summer, it makes sense to buy the players in January if you can, if they are the right type of player. And the reality is there are midfielders available in January that are the right type of player for us. Why are they the right type of player? Because they're better than the crap that we've got. It's as simple as that. Do I rate Zakaria? I do. I've always liked Zakaria. I mean, I was talking about him in the Euros. I was talking about him 2 years ago on here. I mean, if you type Zakaria in United Stand, you'll find videos on him probably, I would definitely say 2 years ago, maybe longer. The only problem with Zakaria was his injury, but I do think he's better than what we've got. He reminds me sort of, his body shape sort of reminds me a lot of like Yaya Toure. And look, I'm not saying he's as good as Yaya Toure, but he's got that sort of poise on the ball. He can carry the ball. He can play defensively. I think there's a lot of potential there. Of course, potential at 25 is difficult, and that might put United off. But for £6 million, I mean, there's no risk. As Will says, for £6 million, there's no risk. There isn't any risk. And anybody who thinks, wow, you get stuck with him, we've been stuck with bloody Matic for years. Mata, we've been happy to give Juan Mata 100 grand a week to bloody write a blog. I don't think there's much of a risk with Zakaria. I really don't. But there are players available in January, and I still believe we'll buy somebody in January. I've been saying that for over a month. I know that players are going to go out the door, but I do think we will buy a midfielder, and I think Zakaria would be good. But I will keep repeating it. I mean, there are players available. They're available at a good price. We need 2 midfielders in the summer, and the midfield right now is going to lose. We're going to lose more points. It's interesting what Romano was talking about in relation to Rangnick, saying that he's going to take some time. Lingard news, says J Ling's fam. I'll talk about Lingard in a minute. Thank you for the super chat there from Wang. It's going to take time with Rangnick, and Fabrizio said that, but we both agreed. Delo should have played last night. Donny should be getting more time. I think if we'd lost that game last night and Donny was playing and Delo was playing and we played a little bit better, we would have gone, look, it's going to take time. The reason people are pissed off today and the reason people are like, who is this Rangnick, is because the football was terrible and he's still using the same players that Ollie used and he's still benching the same players that Ollie used. So where's the change? I agree it will take time for Rangnick to implement his system on a team that's not used to it. But the problem is he's picking players that I don't think even suit the system. I don't think Matic and McTominay suit a high pressing, high intensity, pass forward all the time brand of football. And I think that's the problem with Ralph at the moment. We'll end up with Coutinho. He's been offered to Sean Turner. I mean, I don't want Coutinho. Best comment of the year there. What a comment by Harry. Super comment. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, by the way. Really enjoyed having Fabrizio on. And then as a roundup, where does the confidence come from that we will sign a midfielder, Mark? All the news is about opportunity. We know the border bottlers, says Lil. The confidence for me comes from the fact that, and I might be completely naive here, I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but the confidence for me comes from the fact that we are not going to get top 4 with that midfield. We're not. You don't need a weatherman to tell you it's raining, and I don't need Ralph Rangnick to tell me we're going to get top 4 with that midfield, because we're not. We're simply not going to get top 4. We've played 20 Premier League games now, or 21 Premier League games now, and we've been dominated in the midfield in probably 75% of them. That's not going to change in the second half of the season. The reason we get dominated in the midfield is because the players aren't good enough. Fred, McTominay and Matic are just not good enough. If you took those 3 players, and hand on heart here, you can disagree, whatever. If you gave McTominay, Fred and Matic to Everton, how many of them do you think would start? I wouldn't start them ahead of Decore or Alan. So they wouldn't start at Everton. They might be on the bench, but they wouldn't start for Everton. If you gave them to Newcastle, how many of them would start? Well, you know what? Maybe Fred would start. Maybe he would start for Newcastle. But maybe McTominay would start. But they're a relegation team. We're Manchester United trying to get in the top 4. The reality is, if you gave McTominay, Matic and Fred to any of the teams in the top 6, they wouldn't use them. Rice and Soucek are miles ahead for West Ham. Spurs have got a better midfield. Arsenal have got a better midfield, and don't even bother with Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool. So we've got a midfield 3 that is nowhere near getting into any of the top 6. How are you going to get in the top 6 then? How are you going to get in the top 6 when games are won and lost in the midfield? Therefore, my confidence about a midfield signing comes from the fact that if we don't buy a midfielder, we're not going to get top 4. And I'm just a fan. And if I'm sat there, what do you think Ralph Rangnick's doing? Surely Ralph Rangnick is sat there knowing more than we know, and he must sit there and go, I need a midfielder. And he therefore must be sat there saying to the board, I need a midfielder. And you might not agree with me, but Zakaria for 6 million is better than everything that we've got. And that's why I think we'll buy a midfielder. I don't know whether it's going to be Zakaria, but, I've just been through the process there, and that's why I'm confident. If I know and you know that midfield's not good enough, it's not good enough for the top 6, and you can get a midfielder that's better than them for a reasonable price, then you're going to be asking that question. And if you don't get them, that's on the board. And that's why I said a few minutes ago, if we don't get top 4, it's on the board. Now, what you do with that information as a fan is up to you. But there are midfielders available better than what we've got. They're reasonably priced. And if we don't get one, we won't get top 4. And even if we do get one, we might not get it, but we'll have a better chance. I think normally in a January transfer window, you'd be saying we need a midfielder. We need to go and get Declan Rice. Well, that's impossible in January. We're in a really fortuitous position where we do need a midfielder and there are midfielders available. And we should be pushing for one. And I think we will. United will keep the Declan Rice story coming till summer and miss out on him. I mean, Arjen, look, I've got no I actually really do like Declan Rice. I think he's a brilliant player and I think he'd be a good signing for Manchester United. But I think we should avoid it. And the reason for that is that we've done this with Harry Maguire, we've done it with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we've done it with Jadon Sancho. We've spent massive on English talent. And the reality is you could have got 2 foreign players who can play on the wing, who are talented for Jadon Sancho's 74 million. You could have got 2 very talented centre-backs for 80 million instead of Harry Maguire. And you could have got 2 very good foreign right-backs for what you paid for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I just don't think we should make the mistake again. Instead of spending 80, 90 million pounds on Declan Rice, let's spend 80 or 70 million on 2 good foreign centre midfielders because we need 2, not 1. And I think you're right. I think United probably will go for Declan Rice and maybe they will get him, but we need to spend better and we need to learn from the past. We've spent ridiculous amounts of money on English talent and it's not worked. We now need to start looking at bringing in talent that is far more efficient in relation to the price and more quality and more quantity. We need quantity. We need more good players, not one good player. We need more good players. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did go for him, but I like him, but I don't think it's the right one. Totally agree with you. The border bottlers, though, says Lil. Well, look, goes back to what we were talking about this morning and last night. What power does Ralph Rangnick have? If he's got power, we'll buy a midfielder. Simple as. United will keep the... Yeah, we've done that one from Arjen, haven't we? Anyway, so look, a brief summary. Forget the... They will feed us the Declan story, Arjen. Forget the Alvarez stories. I mean, it should have ended yesterday when I put the tweet out. I think it needs to end now. I think the next focus is the midfield. Look, the way the club are putting it, it's unlikely we're going to buy anybody. But as Fabrizio said, a lot can change in the latter half of the January transfer window. And, there is a player called Zakaria available. There's also Kamara available. I don't think Kessie will happen. Fabrizio said that's very unlikely to happen because Kessie's likely to stay at AC Milan until the summer. But Kamara and Zakaria are available. Now, who's better out of the 2? I think Kamara is the more glamorous one because he's younger. But is he better? I don't know. I would welcome both of them, but I would probably lean towards Zakaria because at 25, he'd probably walk straight into the team, and we need somebody to walk straight into the team. But let's not hide away from the fact that options are available. They are. Anyway, Hadara, somebody just asked about Hadara. The thing with Hadara is he's not going to be available until February anyway. He's away on AFCON duty, isn't he? So I don't think those sort of players are maybe towards the end of the window, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's very, very, very important that we get a midfielder in January. So, look, let's wait and see what happens with Donny. Let's wait and see what happens with Jesse. I did ask him about Lingard, and the feeling is, and Fabrizio sort of alluded to it, is that Jesse will wait until the summer where he can earn more money. He's not getting any game time under Rangnick, is he? He's not getting a chance under Rangnick. So, Jesse, if he wants to go to the World Cup and play football, should be pushing for a move in January. But there is this feeling around Lingard that he's just going to run the contract down and make the money in the summer, isn't he? And hope that then he can get into the England squad late, but or maybe get a chance with United in the next few months. But I don't know about that. I think Jesse should be trying to play football, really. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, please smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'm back again at 8 o'clock. Really enjoyed that. Nice to do a video at this time sometimes, actually, and I enjoyed the FIFA stream earlier if you watched it on Goldbridge TV. I'll see you all 8 o'clock. Make sure you subscribe, smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.